I want to share something with you that's referred to as the law of diffusion of innovation. It was first done by a guy by the name of Simon Sinek. When I seen this, I had to share it with you. And what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us are who the people are that join anything and basically what type of person they actually are that actually joins. So what I want to share with you is what we're going to have to do as brokers to hit mass market penetration. In other words, you often hear referred to it as momentum. So as we begin to look at the law of diffusion of innovation, what it tells us is that the first group of people that enter any organization typically are the innovators. And they make up a very small percentage of a company. You see, the innovators are very easy to disseminate. These are folks that stood in line to purchase an iPhone for 8 hours. It tells us a little bit about them, who they are, and what it is they were trying to accomplish. And you can talk to someone and you could say, wow, that's a great iPhone. When did you get that? And they'll tell you, they'll say, I was the first one in this area to have one. That tells us automatically those people are innovators. They only make up about 2.5% of the market. They just see things. The second group are referred to as the early adopters. And what you'll begin to identify is they make up also a very small percentage of the company. But what you're going to see is that these people are visionaries. They're oftentimes entrepreneurs. These are the people that we show the presentation to and they just get it, right? But what we begin to identify, and Jeffrey Moore referred to as a tipping point, is when we reach about a 14 to 18% market penetration, something phenomenal takes place. We reach this tipping point and we reach the early majority and then again the late majority. And the early majority people are also very simple to understand who they actually are because they say things like this, well, I've got a good job. I work 8 hours a day, I got a 401k, I have benefits, et cetera, et cetera. What do they look for? They typically look for safety and security. So how do we get these people into an organization? You do it with your story. You see, your story is so significant because typically these people that make up critical mass, they do not do anything until somebody else has already done it. So they want to hear your story. They want to hear how you got in the business, how well you've done. And you got to share with them the stories of some of the top income earners, the stories of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, the stories of how fast you built your business. Your story is so significant, it's so monumental because you will cause massive momentum to take place by simply sharing your story. They are looking for the testimonies, the preponderance of proof that this actually works. And then the last group, these folks are referred to as the laggers. These are the people who still have rotary phones. You're not signing them up in the business. Nobody is until everybody's already doing it. But the advantage that you have to be the innovators or the early adopters is typically these are the people who get seasoned in an industry, understand it, they make the most amount of money because they're first. You see, being first is always significant. You have to be first in anything you do. Think about buying stock. Would you like to be the first person who purchased a stock when the company's still small and you get to experience that exponential growth? Or would you like to be the person who bought it when it capped out? It's the same principle. So what I want to share with you today is begin to understand, look at the percentages. Who is it that you're trying to get into your business? And how can we begin to use these tools to identify who people are so when we do show them the presentation, we already kind of have an idea. This is why it's so significant to get information, probing questions that I'm typically going to ask before I show the presentation. I want to warm up to them and I identify who they are. And when they begin to share with me this information, I'm going to say, are they an innovator? Are they somebody that wants to understand the story? And they jump right in because they wanted to be first? Or am I talking to somebody who's a lagger who still has a rotary phone, right? I can identify who they are, and depending on who they are, typically I can ask some probing questions and curtail the presentation to them. Remember, a presentation doesn't start till the presentation's over. So how do we begin to do this? How do we begin to hit that momentum and begin to bring people into the organization and have this massive exponential growth? Create that momentum. It's referred to as the golden circle. Now, every single person throughout history typically has been very successful because they've used the golden circle to perfection. They may not even be able to articulate what the golden circle is. They didn't even realize they were doing it, but I'll promise you, they used the golden circle. So the golden circle looks like this. What you're going to begin to identify is there's 3 major rings here. In the center, what you're going to see is the why, then you'll see the how, and then you'll see the what. And see, most people work the golden circle completely opposite. What they want to do is they want to go share what it is they're doing. My friends, people don't care what you're doing. I know that may sound abrupt, but most people are busy. They got lives, they got kids, they got all these different things that are taking place in their life. They really don't care. You know, when you meet somebody for the first time and you run up to them and you say, hey, listen, I just got signed up in this network marketing company. You want to join? No. But, and then I'm going to go through how much the compensation plan is and how we build the business and all these wonderful things. And you know what? If they don't care what you're doing, why would they care how you're doing it? You see, think about this. What if you begin to use the golden circle from the inside out? So what if you use the golden circle in complete opposite? So instead of showing them what it is you're doing or how it is you're doing it, we shared with them why it is we're doing it. I want you to think about this for a second. In 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King put 250,000 people at the Mall of Washington, D.C. How do you do that? You see, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no website to check the date. People weren't putting this in the newspapers and say, hey, spend your money, rent buses, come stand in the hot August sun so we can hear Dr. King. Why did they come? Why was Dr. King followed and not all the other great people? He wasn't the only orator of the day. He was not the only person who suffered in a pre-civil rights country. Many people did. So why did they follow Dr. King and not all the other people who were suffering? It's because Dr. King shared with them why he does. And he talked about the future. And he says, I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. And he began to build this amazing picture of what the future could be. And the main reason that everybody showed up is because of them. They showed up for them. It was not a black and white thing. 25% of the people there were white. You see, there was so much pain that was taking place. People had to do something about it. People were led to do something because of the pain they have. If you look at every great organization that's ever been founded, whether it was AA, it was founded because by alcoholics is who it was founded by. If you look at Women's Anonymous, it was founded by women that were battered. In other words, wherever you're plundered is where you're anointed to plunder. You have to do something. The pain, if you talk to somebody today and they say, I don't even know what my passion is. Identify the pain, you'll find the passion. So the key is to share people why you're doing what you're doing. So let me give you an example of the wrong way to do it. Then I'll give you an example of the correct way to do it. So the first thing most people do is they say, John, I just got started in a network marketing company. Do you want to join? What's your answer? No, right? But let me ask you this. What if I said, John, all my life I want to be part of something special. I didn't want to suffer. I don't want my kids to suffer the way that I did growing up. I finally found a vehicle that can change our lives forever, and I want to share it with you. When can we sit down for a cup of coffee? You see the difference? Start with why. And when people understand why you do what you do, they'll do what you do. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. I hope this has been a training that can actually tap in to the invitation. With every person who becomes monumentally successful in this industry, they do not mix up the invitation with the presentation. The invitation is setting up a time and a place that we can sit down and let me share with you what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it in opposite order, right? That's what it's all about. And then when you sit down, guys, CCM sells itself. Thanks so much for taking the time to look at this. I hope this has made a big difference to you. Remember, the invitation before the presentation, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.